So good afternoon, everyone. This is Randy E. Bishop, and today on our live stream, I've decided what I was going to do is let you in on my songwriting process. When I was younger, I used to always wonder, how do the bands do this? I still think it's incredible to see some of the processes people go through. So I just figured what I'd start doing is get on live stream and kind of show you the process, let you in on the behind the scene things. So if you're signing in, joining me today, thank you so much for joining. Please do me a favor. If you find this interesting, go ahead and hit like. Go ahead and share. Maybe do a watch party so your friends, your family, all the contacts that you have here on Facebook and out here in social media, they can join us. But I'm just going to show you how I do it. As I said before, I've always found it interesting to see what people do as a process and how songs come to life. Oftentimes I'm with Carrie still, and we're watching, we'll be watching a sitcom, and Carrie and I'll just laugh, and I'll tell her, I'll say, it must be hilarious to sit around and be a part of the crew of people, how many, 1 or 2 or 6, or how many writers are on these shows, and must be great to be a part of that process and see how they write all these things. Well, because I think like that, I think maybe other people would be interested. When they hear something of mine, maybe they wonder, how's Randy come about doing this? And I know that for me, I can just share with you what I do. I don't know what anybody else does, but here's my process, and I'm going to let you in on it for the next few weeks. Just do this as often as possible. And my wife is on. I see Amy Hahn. I see my buddy John from Ohio is on. Thank you so much for joining us. So here's my process, and we're going to do this, like I said, every week. I'm going to let you in on this process. And what's really great is it'll help me catch up on some of this backlog of work I need to do. So I'm really going to be letting you into my life and my work and my process a little bit. And you're helping me get some of these things done. So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. Thank you so much. I'm not going to be looking at the camera the whole time. I'll look over once in a while, but I'll really kind of be working and just share with you as I'm going. Primarily, if anybody's ever talked to me about any of my music, they ask me, how'd this song come about, or where'd you get this idea? And most ideas come from life. I mean, they just do. One song sticks out is the song "You Gotta Do Something When There's Nothing to Do." It was just a line that my daughter actually said to me while she was helping Carrie rip apart some seams. And I looked at her and she said, "What?" And I said, "Well, you're helping Carrie sew." And she said, "Well, you gotta do something when there's nothing to do." And it just seemed so sing-songy that I grabbed my phone, my trusty phone, and we all have these nowadays, but in your phone, there's this really great thing, most all of us have it, but there's this place called Voice Memo. And Carrie yells at me if I don't have my phone in hand, if I start talking or singing or something, especially when it comes to a song idea. But I grab the voice memos, I turn it on, and I hit record. And so on this particular day, it was back just post-hurricane in Florida. And we were at a mall, and Carrie was back at sewing at a buckle store, actually. And my daughter said, "Well, you got to do something when there's nothing to do." And my mind just already had the melody line. And so I said, "Hold on, everybody." And I grabbed my phone and I hit record. And I started to sing, "You got to do something when there's nothing to do." And that's how that whole song started. So that's how almost everything starts for me. Whether it's sitting and talking with Carrie and maybe I'm angsty about some situation, and she says, "I think you're about to write this song," or like the other day when I was talking, I sang a song that I'd written for my mom and about my mom, and it really was based on something I wrote online. I said, "Always be grateful, always remember, always be grateful, always help, and always love." And a friend of mine wrote right away and said, "I think that's a song." And as soon as she said it, actually, I started singing in my mind, "Always remember, always be grateful, always help, and always love." It just came to me. So then I put it in here, And then the process from here is kind of simple. Well, to me it's simple, but I've gotten used to it now. So what I do is I'll just have a huge collection of things that I've recorded, ideas. Sometimes I'll just be talking little rhyme things that I hear, or some of the songs that have happened have been like I'd drop Carrie off to work, and I'd just be sitting in traffic, stop traffic, and I'd be beating on the steering wheel. And the beat makes me think of something, and I'm waiting, and blah, 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 blah. So, whatever happens, I start to sing-song a melody, or I get this cool beat thing happen, and I start singing a bass line. That's what happened with the song Control Me. It was a dun, dun, dun. I was actually sitting around singing just the bass line, and the rest of it came. So anyway, my process is getting confusing maybe, but this is the way I do it. So then I take this recording. It could be a little short thing. It could be a whole verse. It could be, sometimes I sit down with my guitar and I'm just playing and singing, and I record those ideas singly until I get something, and then I decide, hey, I'm going to move it from here, and I'm going to start doing something with it somewhere else. So in this particular case, back in January, about a month ago, a little over a month ago, Carrie and I were listening to some things, and it gave me the idea about writing just another country song. Just another one of the songs that you've heard a million times, and maybe you're tired of hearing, but you've heard it and it just becomes familiar. Well, this particular file that I have, I was actually, I'm just going to be honest with you. Songs come anywhere you're at. I was actually jumping in the shower when, having heard about these things, here I jump in the shower, and as I'm in the shower and I'm starting to get my hair wet and washed, I had this stuff in my head, and you can ask Carrie. It happens really strange sometimes, but I yelled, Carrie, you've got to bring me my phone, and you've got to turn on my voice memos. And so she brought my phone to me, and I think she might have been busy doing her hair in another room, blow drying it, but she heard me. And she brought me my phone, and I said, you got to turn on a voice memo right now. And she said, okay. And so she held up the phone while I'm standing in the shower, and I've got these ideas coming in my head, and I just started singing the ideas. And so I start to sing. Too long. So I get all these ideas, and I'm sitting here singing, and I try to get out the ideas. And usually what's happened is I've sat and thought about this enough that by the time I've thought about it, I gotta get it out. So I might trip all over myself, but nonetheless, I have an idea. So this particular file is a song that I did, like I said, just sitting in there. And so today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide that this is a song that I'm going to at least get into the computer, at least start working on it a little bit at a time. So before you joined me, I went ahead and I connected my phone to my computer, and it brings up everything that's on my device. And I can go to my voice memos. And so I have in my voice memos, and I found just another country song. So from there, I usually drag that to my desktop or something so that I can work with it. And I can open it, I can play it, do whatever. I have a couple different steps I work with, and sometimes I'll go back and forth. So I'm just going to kind of show you everything, and this will be important for me to get down. So now I've got my files in here. I've dragged them from that program, and I've got my workstation open. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I open a template that I have set up for myself, and I drag my audio files over to this here workstation area in here, and it comes in, and then I should be able to hit play as soon as it imports. gonna sing right now this country song. Okay, so now I've got this audio file that was me just singing and standing in the shower and I'm singing back and forth. But now I can start to figure out my tempo and I can start figuring out some other things. So I'm going to play this file again. And I'm gonna sing right now this country song. And now I'm just gonna tap in because I have a tap pad tempo. I'm just gonna find a tempo for my sequencer. That way I can start building a song. And it takes a minute sometimes for it to catch up and decide. Trucks and dogs and lost loves, alcohol. Okay, so now I've kind of figured out that I've got a tempo. Well, I can start doing songwriting from a couple different ways at this point. But I'll tell you what, the most important part probably is two parts. I got to figure out what lyrics I'm going to write, and I got to kind of figure out where the song's at. So I'll grab my guitar. Let's just figure out where the song kind of is, because I've been singing. And I think I got the key already right there. So, pick up. Okay, so that's what I'm singing. Okay, I like that. I mean, it was in my head, so. So, what I can do really just to get an idea down is I'm just going to take that track off and going to turn on my acoustic guitar track. And okay, so now that I've got it there, I'll just hit record and have it, well, sometimes it's just computer problems cause you trouble. I don't know. Let's see if it's going to help me. Give me what I need here. Well, and I don't know what the problem is. Just going to be honest with you. Okay. Well, this is where I have to apologize because this has caused me grief. So, what I'm going to do is, now I've got this, because in my head I already know the song is in A. That's what I was playing. And I've got dun 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 dun. I've already played it, so I can remember that. But the thing that's going to be important for me is getting out of this, and I'm gonna think about these words that I was. I'm gonna sing right now this country song. Okay, so I'm just gonna start writing my lyrics. How I go about this is it's all got to be done. So this is what happens. So I open a Google Doc, and this is just another country song, and I said I'm gonna sing right now this country song, and then I say what? You're gonna swear you heard it before too long. You'll swear you heard it before too long. You swear you've heard it before too long. Okay. And it's got trucks and dogs and
lost loves, alcohol.
Got trucks, dogs, lost loves, and alcohol. That's a country song for you. It's got, so I'll write that in. It's got trucks and dogs, lost loves, and alcohol. Sounds like all the country songs I heard as I grew up. And what else?
Oh, and my sweetheart's name.
Oh, and my sweetheart's name on the bathroom wall. Not exactly the greatest thought, but it was what came to me. I'll probably change it. Who knows what I'll change? But at least it gives me some form. Okay.
I got
now, where am I at here? I went off and did this wrong here. Okay. So,
on the bathroom wall.
okay. And my sweetheart, I didn't even get that typed in. And my sweetheart's name on the bathroom wall. Now that's my verse. And I got some.
It's the same move. That's what I've got. But I need to be further.
Okay, so at that point, I had been writing, just doing this stuff while I was in the shower, and even Carrie said, "Oh, I like it so far." Now here's the cool thing, though. I actually said, "Oh, I've got another part," and later I had her come in, and I came back with another idea.
Which shit.
It's what?
Another country song for me to write, and it'll be so great on Saturday night.
Okay, another country song for me to write, and it'll be so great on a Saturday night. Okay. Now the thing about that is, who knows if that's going to be the final, but it is what it is so far, you know, and that's where I start. Most everything starts just like that, and so then I just go ahead and make sure that I've got that stuff saved, and really that's all I have.
Yeah, the whole idea is it's another great country song for Saturday night.
It's another great Saturday night kind of country song is what I'm saying. Even, and I'll leave myself little verbal notes. Okay, so now I've got kind of this song to flesh out. I'm gonna sit right now to this country song. You say you heard it before too long. It's got trucks and dogs and lots of love alcohol. Name on the bathroom wall. Another country song for me to write. It'll be so great on a Saturday night. And now I got an idea. Hi Marla, and hi Shirley. Just looked over and saw a couple new names. So that's my process really. And from here, really, it becomes. I keep writing some words, which will come out. You know, I'll start thinking, okay, I'm going to sing right now this country song. You'll swear you've heard it before too long. It's got trucks and dogs. And I'll just ask myself, what's the typical country song? And I'll start writing some more things. I might go to Starbucks because it just, you know, I'm sitting around and thinking up stuff that's not just being distracted by the studio or the house or anything like that. Might, you never know, might one day, hello, Franklin. One day I was writing one of the songs. It's on my new album, and we've been singing it for a while. And we were in I think a Marshall's or a Ross, and I told Carrie, I said, "I've got an idea. You just got to stop." And she's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna walk down the hall." And she walked down the hall, and I grabbed my phone and I started singing verses that were coming in my head that were, disjointed, but something I could work with eventually. So yeah, so now you've just seen kind of in 20 minutes time, you've kind of seen, of course you didn't see the original time where I was conceiving the idea. But now you've come from, okay, the idea was it started, I recorded it in the phone, took it from the phone, brought it into my iTunes where I could play the file. And hi Jack, how are you? And I'm on a big screen TV right now. That's kind of scary. I hope I look good. So then from there I listen to that file, and then I pull that file into my DAW, my digital audio workstation, so that I can figure it out. Play it a few times, kind of get what it's out. Now that wasn't something I played on guitar, of course. That was something that was in just a vocal line. I was singing. I'm gonna sit right down this country song. And I was just singing it. So then I had to figure it out. And then it wasn't even a complete idea, and we opened up another file where I had the next idea, and learned that another country song for me to write. It'll be so great on a Saturday night. And then I'll figure turnarounds and do those kind of things as I build the song from there. But now the idea is out of my head, out of my phone, into the computer. I now have some lyrics saved. I actually use Google Docs. I have a Google Drive. Leave a lot of documentation and things in there. I'll upload MP3s when I'm finished, maybe even demos to Dropbox or Google Drive, and that way I can listen when I'm in the car or off, walking through a store or anywhere. I can share them with friends. Sometimes I'll send Carrie a link and just say, hey, on your lunch break, I finished this temporary mix of this song, or I have this idea, I want you to listen to it. My brother and I have done the same thing. Just here's a Dropbox file, and we share the idea, back and forth. We can hear things, so get ideas together. So that's kind of the way this goes. It goes this way with most everything. I don't really sit down and start at the workstation. I don't normally sit down and start to write and record like this. Normally it's an idea that came from somewhere. Just to give you for instance, my voice memos, there are currently 98 voice memos, and that I have in my phone and in my voice memos file. Now, some of those songs have already been done. I mean, just give you, for instance, it's getting really, I mean, it goes back a couple years, but I pull songs out from anywhere. But sometimes it's just it puts the name of where you're at, your location, when you're recording. So sometimes I have to go in. But a couple weeks ago, I did the song on one of my live mini concerts on a Thursday. I said I was writing a new song, and just wanted to share with anybody. And it's a song called "Not Getting Out of My 50s," and I had put that on. And I'd sat and I was actually at a rehearsal at church in the morning, and we were done, and we were waiting for the next service, and I was sitting back waiting for the next service to come up. Had about a half hour, and I was sitting and playing and singing. I'd been thinking about this idea and just started singing it, and I thought I got to put this in my voice memos. So I've got, Not Getting Out of My 50s. That's a song that I actually have already sung on one of my live things. Just Another Country Song we're working on today. I've got a song called "Everything for a Song," because you never notice that there's a song for everything. So I kind of turned it around. I've even started writing some punk band song. I remember doing this. I think Carrie and I were on the road moving some things. There's a song, "Thank You," that I wanted to say thank you to somebody, and so I was just singing it here. Another song, we were talking with somebody and gave me the idea of the fact that sometimes our wives feel like we have mistresses, and our mistresses are our guitars or our guns or our cars, and so there's an idea about that. A story someone told me about finding flowers on their car and never finding out who gave it to them, and that spawned an idea in my head. And so I started to come up with lyric ideas and melody ideas, and I just was actually driving around and hit my voice memo and filled it in. The title track to my new album called The E Is For Everything. I was working on songs already, probably already had 23 or 24 songs that I was in process, and one day sat down and I realized that people had started to ask what the E was in my name. I say Randy E. Bishop, and I realized I hadn't really ever explained it, and so it was just a sit down and was writing, just playing my guitar and writing. Do Not Shut Me Out, that's a song that's not released right now. I think it's going to be on the next album. I actually sang it a couple mini concerts ago. Started writing a kid's song, You're My Friend. I don't know, couldn't tell you. I actually started writing while we were moving to Texas. We drove past Biloxi, and I started singing this thing about Biloxi, and Carrie, as she was driving, said, "Are you recording?" And I said, "No," and she said, "Why not?" And so I grabbed my phone and I had to sing all over again the song about Biloxi. Of course, right here's the 2 or 3 ideas about Budrow on the Move. One of them was in the middle of a store. You Don't Really Know Me, that's a song from the new album. It's There For Me, it's a song from the new album. Don't Judge a Book by its cover. Haven't really advanced on that. The One For Me, I don't even know what that's about, but I'll figure it out one of these days. Yeah, so there's a lot of things in here, but I according to that, like 98 different files. So that's how it all happens. Just little by little, slowly but surely. So today you have been a part of me unraveling just a little bit of just another country song, and now I've got another song started. It's just not sitting in here in the ether somewhere. It's actually becoming something real, and thanks to you for sharing in that time. Listen, I know a few of you are with me, and I know you can type and everything. If anybody has any questions before I wrap up and say goodbye, I would entertain a question or two. If not, I'm, hi Shauna, how are you? Shauna's just joining us, and she'll have to go back and listen to the rest of it. But Shauna, I was just showing the process. You can go back and listen to the rest of it when this is all finished. Just kind of a songwriting process video explaining how I go from just an idea to getting it here in the computer and starting to record and figuring it out on a guitar. And so if there's any questions anybody has about songwriting, my process, ideas, anything, I got a couple more minutes. I'll stay with you before I move on. But anybody? This is kind of fun. I've enjoyed doing this lately. How do I record my music? See, that's a good question. I'm sitting here going so fast that I don't stop to explain some things. So, okay, Shauna brings up a really great question. And now my process the last few years hasn't really changed. This year I'm hoping to go further than I've gone before, but starting even in fact with my album Walk Upon the Water back in 2017, I use a Macintosh computer, an Apple Mac. I use Digital Performer software. It is a very famous, very well-known digital audio recording workstation, and it allows me to have multiple tracks of audio. I can have mono tracks so that I can record a guitar line, several guitar lines. Like I have a template that I open. And hi Sharon. And I have a template that I open in my digital audio workstation, and I open several MIDI tracks. And MIDI tracks are what I record MIDI data to do keyboard programming or drum programming. It can also be controller data and things like that, but mostly it's drum programming and keyboard parts, strings, and things like that. Then I usually keep open like 4 guitar tracks for acoustic guitar, 4 guitar tracks for like electric guitar, a couple bass tracks, so that way when I have different ideas, I don't have to just write or overdub or whatever. I can just go to another track and arm it. Then I usually have a couple lead vocal tracks, so that when I'm singing the lead vocal, usually I do a scratch track when I'm first writing. Let me just tell you, I don't normally do any kind of lead vocal work when I start. I've usually started from the process of taking my song idea from the phone, and then I'm playing some things, and then I start to build the music. So then for building the music, whether it's drum programming or just playing in guitar parts, because the click track will keep me on time until I build drum tracks. But I do all the drum tracks, all the guitars, everything. If you go back and listen to any of my music that I've released since 17, even some of the old stuff that's not really out, but some people have heard, but everything I've done is mine. I mean, I do all the playing, drum programming. I actually working with a new drummer, and we were going over some of my songs, and I said, I did all the drumming. He said, you did? I said, well, it was drum programming. And he said, really? I said, good. Well, I like that. I like that he was surprised. So anyway, I do drum programming. I do strings, keyboards, whatever there is that way. And then I play all of the guitar parts, lead guitars, the electric guitars, the bass parts, everything like that. And then my lead vocals, I usually wait until the song's kind of complete before I try to do lead vocals. Background vocals the same way, because usually, unless I've got an idea for background vocals before background vocals can be almost like strings or brass. Sometimes they're a part of the song rather than just something to go with lead vocals. So depends. But in my digital audio workstation, I'll have several guitar tracks open for electric, several for acoustic, couple bass tracks, 2 or 3 lead vocal tracks. Usually 4, and it can be more harmony vocal lines. And then I have stereo tracks where once I've done the programming for drums, then I actually end up recording what I program into, so that I can mix from there instead of it being MIDI data, which that gets a little technical. This year I hope to take and go outside of my own studio, outside of my own DAW. I'd really like to go get some live players playing some of my things. So really this process will be me making the songs the way I want to hear it, and then taking that to a studio, get a bunch of studio cats, and it costs a little money, and I'll have to figure out how to pay for that, but that'll be worth it. I think it'll kind of one up the process of what I've been doing. And I know some musicians who might want to play. I know my brother's a great bass player, and I'd love to get him playing on it. Real lead guitar players, I mean, guys who eat and breathe and sleep country would be cool. Anyway, I'm going to answer Franklin's question in a second, but I am going to tell you, well, the one thing that's cool about stuff like this is there have been some songs where I wanted to have like a crowd of people singing in the background, and like I told you, I do everything. So I'll arm 16 tracks for background vocals, and then individually, like one of the songs was, yes, Shauna, it would. One of the songs, I wanted like a bar full of people, and so I ended up singing, and like this, I'm just singing in a bar, and I ended like somebody in a bar was singing along with me. Several tracks like that, and then several good tracks, and then I pan them all around the stereo field so it sounds like you got a room full of people singing. I did a Christmas song a couple years ago, and I sang all the parts, all the soprano, all the alto. I pitch shifted my vocals to make it sound like girl, and I did all the choir parts. I think that was 32 channels of choir parts that I sang, and I sang them all. And then I did all the pitch correction and blending to make it all sound like a choir in a choir space. So that's what's cool about this. But that's how I do it. That software, this particular software, I know, to answer Franklin's question, this particular software is a few $100. I mean, I think it's, don't get me, we can check online, but I think its list price, unless you're upgrading, is like $3.99. I know a lot of people use a lot of other things that are cheaper, and a lot of people use Pro Tools, which is a lot more expensive. That's for sure. But I think Digital Performer's around $3.99, and I've used this for years. So I am actually on version 9, DP9, but I think they have DP10 out, and I don't upgrade with every version. Usually I'm in the middle of something. There are too many Macintosh systems behind to make it worth my while. But when I do, then I'll upgrade it, and it'll cost me like $129 for upgrades to keep to the recent. But they'll have online synths and effects and everything in here too. I also have other digital synths that are in the computer. A lot of Korg synthesizers. I have a company called Native Instruments has a software called Complete, and it's all their synthesizers and samplers, and I have that, and every few years I make sure I upgrade that. So I have drum samples and string samples, and that's all kind of great sounds to work with, and loops and everything. Let me see. I hope that answers those questions. And as far as, Shauna is saying Kickstarter, or maybe I can't remember the other thing that she said, GoFundMe. Yeah, those are things that probably when time comes, I'll be doing something like a Kickstarter, GoFundMe program, and send it out to all the fans and just say, okay, here's the budget that I'm looking for to create the album in the studio, and here's what you get if you support me, and that'd be a really great thing. But right now, I'm still kind of pre-producing everything and getting things done. This was just the tip of the iceberg. What you saw today is I'm just going to go ahead and save a copy of this because I opened it in my template. But I'll save a copy of this, and now when I go to do another project, I can open up a template, do some work, save it, and my template's still intact. But then when like the album that I'm in pre-production with now, I've got I started with about 24 songs. I got down to about 13. I may bring it back to 12. I'm not sure yet. But of the 13, I've gotten 12 really strong demos that I'm really happy with, and of course I've played a couple of them on Thursdays at my mini concerts. So, listen, I've been with y'all for quite a while. I appreciate you hanging with me. I hope this is lets you see a little bit into the life and the process. Any other questions? I'd love to answer it. If not, I'm probably going to say goodbye and let you all go. And thank you so much for being with me. I'll hang it for just a second. Any more questions? How difficult is it to mix the music with a video performance? I think that's probably a layered question with a layered answer. Are you talking about mixing music that is being performed while you are making a video, and mixing it so that the video sounds great? Or are you talking about mixing music to go with video that you're editing together? See, I'm not sure where the question is, but I will say it this way. It's always can be difficult mixing music. This depends on how many channels and how much stuff's going on. Okay, it takes a little skill, a lot of skill. And I never thought I was a technician. I had a studio years ago with my brother, and I always said, "Listen, I'll do the programming and stuff. You do the technical stuff, because I don't really understand compression and things like that." Okay, so make a high quality sound of Jack doing a medley of things. Well, I think that the most important thing, probably, I know what you're talking about. Probably the most important thing is you gotta have great phone, just record his performance, and get some great shots, and don't worry too much about the idea of mixing. I would just make sure you get really good sound when you're right there, and then just if you got some way in the computer or something. I know you're a computer guy, Franklin, but then if you got some audio tools in that video editing software, just you can make sure to turn it up and try to balance out any discrepancies between the video and everything. So hopefully that explains it. We can talk more privately, and you can tell me what you're looking for. So anyway, hey, I am going to get back because I probably should ask myself where the next verse of Just Another Country Song is, and maybe do some writing and maybe playing some more things in. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed that. I just got a message from my youngest daughter. You're very welcome, Franklin. Just got a message from my youngest daughter, and she said, "Dad, I've been watching your live video, and I've just been inspired." So I'm glad that it was my daughter that I inspired, but maybe I inspire someone else, and if nothing else, maybe I entertained you for a little bit. And join me a week from now, again, at 3 o'clock Texas time, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I am going to be sitting here. Like I said, if nothing else, I'll be sharing my process with you, and you'll be helping me get through the files that are on my phone, and at least start getting them in here and making some decisions as to the future for those songs. And maybe, just maybe, do some pre-production work on some of the things I'm already working on, and you can be a part of that process too. So, hey, thank you again for joining me. God bless you, and look for me again. I will be here Thursday, every Thursday, 3 p.m. Texas time. I don't even know what, is that Central Standard, I think? And 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing another small little live stream mini concert. Check it out. Do me a favor, like my page, share my page, like my video, share my video. All right? Y'all have a great day. Take care.